Hello and welcome to Ryno's Ravens Review. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Well, first drive of that game last night, Monday Night Football, defense got pushed around a little bit too much, but that was really it as far as the defense getting pushed around, as the Ravens were able to win in Los Angeles. Ravens 30, Chargers 23. Let's get to as you can see, I'm on BaltimoreRavens.com. Let's get to the game center, talk a little bit about some of these numbers. They're going to be offensive because that's all the Ravens put on their website, which is fine. 16 to 22 passing for Lamar. That's fairly accurate. Yeah, sure. 122 yards. 177 yards. A little low, right? Wow. Well, Derrick Henry, 140 yards rushing. He had to try to match Saquon Barkley, though. Saquon Barkley, 250-something the night before. Derrick only 140, so... And no touchdown for Derrick Henry. That's disappointing. He's on a roll there, getting touchdowns in every game and such. Happens. Justice Hill, well, that's part of it, I think. Justice Hill had a run there later in the game, I want to say mid-third quarter-ish. Could have been Derrick Henry's run, and Justice Hill took off, kind of stole the rushing touchdown, I guess. Of course, so did Lamar Jackson. And yeah, Justice Hill stole a few more yards because he went out there to the left side and made the safety miss in the backfield, and then nobody touched him, which is strange. It was kind of a strange run. Which, honestly, the offense getting going and Henry getting going, what I have in my notes here. Offense didn't look great in their first possession, but got Derrick Henry rolling, and that kind of, changes the momentum of the game. It allows the defense to get back in position better. What I talk about here, that leg whip. Yeah. Man, leg whip. So Ricard goes down at kind of like a cut block, a low block on linebacker for the Chargers. Really whiffs on the block, and he's diving on the ground, and his leg kind of flips around and such. And they're like, leg whip, it's a penalty. And I'm like, damn, where were these referees in that damn Cleveland game? Because dude straight up kicked Lamar in the leg, and they did nothing. Which, coming into contact with him, with using your foot in a whipping motion to come in contact with a ball carrier is a penalty, or say ball carrier or player. Maybe it's different if it's a ball carrier, but you can leg whip on a quarterback with the ball, but you can't leg whip on a linebacker. That's like, if one's a penalty, then the other's got to be a penalty, right? So, like, okay, cool. That's fine. Just, don't call it in favor of us, but call it against us. Cool. Thanks. Love that. Love seeing that. Oh, speaking of the refs. Watching that Mark Andrews touchdown, is there any part where you thought that Mark Andrews didn't catch that for a touchdown? Referee standing right there, emphatically calling no catch. Mark Andrews catches the ball, puts both feet in ground, then puts a knee on the ground, and then puts an ass cheek on the ground, not out of bounds, and you still calling a no catch. Hell, he caught that ball so much, he also caught the defender, because the defender got there a little early. Yeah, didn't want to call that though. That's okay. It's like, what the hell? Luckily, there are other refs on the field talking to the, I want to say back judge, but I don't really know. It would have convinced him to call it a touchdown. Of course, with, replay and whatnot that's automatically reviewed on scoring play, they didn't even stop it because it was a touchdown. It was that obvious. But no, the referee obviously calling in favor of the Chargers and not the Ravens. Two plays and it's like, really? What? Can you make it a little less obvious that you don't want the Ravens to do good? Sure as hell looks like it. Because again, how do you not call that a touchdown by Mark Andrews? I mean, he has the ball. Do you see a part of his body that comes down out of bounds? So how do you not call it a touchdown? Okay. Talk a little bit more about the offense here. 8 rushes for Lamar. I think that's fairly good, right? Especially one of them being a touchdown run. Not a lot of contact taken by Lamar. You like that. Weird, they finally did their little tight end from under center. They finally got that to work, right? Where they got 2 running backs and Lamar in the backfield, and he got the tight end up under center. Which is weird, but okay. I guess because Henry is a bigger dude, so you want Henry doing some of the pushing, right? I guess. Is how many times do we see them try to run that on 4th down or even a 3rd and 1 and somebody does something stupid like Henry flinches or Kohler going like he's in a mosh pit or something. Finally got it to work. Of course, it was from their own 16-yard line. What? I mean, yeah. You had to go for it, I guess, right? You got to put points on the board. Your offense is going to be that stinking bad at times. Yeah, very low passing numbers. I mean, Flowers, 60 yards. Andrews, 44. Yeah, wow. All right. Bateman, 43. There was a nice hookup between Bateman and Lamar Jackson in the first half, about the middle part of the second quarter. Kind of a deep shot down the field. Here you go, long of 40. It was a 40-yard touchdown pass. Bateman was kind of face guarded by the defender, but was able to kind of move his arms around the defender and kind of catch it. It was a body catch, which was kind of fine, but especially when there's a defender practically draped all over you. So I wouldn't say it was necessarily the best throw because I feel like the safety was more in the middle of the part of the field, and that's where they threw it. That's where Bateman was kind of running. But there was kind of like a whole open spot to the outside. Like you could have ran a flag route towards the pylon instead of going towards the post in a post pattern, and not bring the safety into play. But Zay was kind of running underneath, kind of way underneath. So maybe that's why they wanted Zay to be over there on the left side. But again, good concentration by Bateman, who, we didn't see too much out of him past few seasons, but he got that contract and he's playing really well. Wallace a catch too. We got a few other guys with catches, not too many. Let's get to NFL.com, take a look at some of their stats. You can see some of the targets here. Flowers, 8 targets. Missed 3 of them. Ugh. Lamar had a few throws that went kind of high early in the game. He's a very energetic guy, and it's a Monday Night Football, which he usually thrives in. I think I still do see some, let's say, issues with him controlling his emotions a little bit. I feel like that's what it is when you're throwing high. You're in Lamar's case, I would say giddy. It's what it seems like anyway. Mark Andrews, 5 for 5 in his targets. What do I have written down here for Mark Andrews here in the offensive section? Hopefully I won't get to it again. Felt like, how many games was it to start the year and we're worried that Mark Andrews is not included in this offense? Everything's going on as they are likely. Now here you got likely not even on the board here with a catch. And here's Andrews going again. 5 catches, 5 targets, 44 yards and a touchdown. I mean, it's not great, 44 yards, but I mean, Lamar didn't even throw for 180, so it's not too bad, right? Mark Andrews getting going here in the past, 3-4 games. Catching a lot of good first downs, catching a few balls short of the first down, fighting his way to picking up a third down. Picking up the first down on third, right? Third down conversions, you love that. Of course, you go to Mark Andrews for that, right? Yeah. Good to have him back. All right, let's continue with some of the other Chargers defense held up very well early. Again, Henry got going, and that was kind of the turning point, which does make sense. And to a certain part, it's a very stout Chargers defense, but you run with Henry and you don't get dumb holding penalties, which, happened a few times by McCary and Linderbaum late, or dumb leg whips, which, I guess it's a penalty. Whatever, man. I didn't see you call it on Cleveland when dude straight up kicked Lamar. It was like, how do you not call that? Y'all looking at the quarterback all the time. You don't see that? Okay, cool. Whatever. Right, and I mentioned that Henry for sure did want to get going on the ground because Saquon put up 250 plus. Definitely leapfrog Henry in that rushing title. But, yeah, 140 yards just wasn't enough for Derrick Henry to keep that rushing title. We're not at the end of the season yet, but we got, 5 games left? Or the Ravens do, 6 weeks, because the Ravens will have the bye week here in a few. It's about 75-ish. Barkley's still up on Henry. But who the Ravens playing next? Well, we'll have to see. You'll have to see at the end of this video. I'll tell you exactly who they're playing. And as I mentioned, Linderbaum's hold late. It was on so on this drive here, where the Ravens punted and gave the ball back to the Chargers with 2 or 3 minutes left. Chargers ended up getting a touchdown, which is practically in garbage time. But it would have been nice for the offense to pick up that first down. Not only to pick up their center who just committed a holding penalty when we're trying to run the ball and run the clock out, but also let's hold on to the ball. What? Come on, man. I understand you want the clock to run and you want to run the football, but could you not have used play action and maybe picked up the first down? Because what did it end up being after the whole 2nd and 14? They got a few first downs, yes. Yeah, it ended up being 2nd and 14. Like, you couldn't pick up 2nd and 14? You do a run after this, and it goes for negative yards. Or a 1-yard run and then a 2-yard loss. You couldn't have thrown the ball at least once? Like here on 2nd and 14, you couldn't have thrown the ball? You couldn't have play action pass thrown the ball to Likely or Andrews? You couldn't have done that just to get the first down and not give the ball back to the Chargers? Because, yeah, okay, you were able to do 2 run plays and run 1:20 off the clock. If you get the first down, you can run more time off the clock. Look, I understand running 1:20 off the clock is a good thing, but at the same time, you still would have run some time off the clock, and you left them with 3 minutes on the clock and all their timeouts anyway. So, of course, they were going to be able to move the ball down the field, right? Duh. Unless your defense could get a stop. But at the same time, this is 2024 in the National Football League. All right? With 3 minutes left in this game, it was 20-16 Ravens? People about ready to turn this game off. Because it's not competitive the last 3 minutes. The NFL does not want that. So what's going to happen? The Chargers are going to take a bunch of deep shots. Yeah, they're going to get sacked a bunch. They're going to have to convert a bunch of 4th downs. But you know what? Of course there are going to be some pass interference calls on the Ravens. Of course there are. Of course there are. They're going to be defending the pass the whole time. How many plays did the Chargers run on this drive? 17. There were 17 plays on this drive. Of course there were going to be some pass interference. Look, it was either a penalty or it's a pass play. And even some of these penalties where, somebody was offside or somebody held somebody or somebody pass interfered, they're like all pass plays. Except for, I think, at least one. I mean, a sack, but again, it was pass play. That's why it's called a sack. They're a run. Herbert scrambled. And that was the only run. But it wasn't a design run. Maybe, who knows? Maybe it was a quarterback draw. I don't know. Excuse me. But of course, that was going to happen. How do you prevent that from happening? Well, don't put your defense on the field. Pick up the first down. 2nd and 14, you can't pick up the first down. Come on. You could have thrown the ball. You could have come up with a play action pass on 2nd and 14. Could have gotten 10 yards. I mean, think about how many yards pass plays go for. You know? I mean, you throw the ball to Mark Andrews 5 yards down the field and he runs for another 3 and then falls forward. That's like 9 yards. You know? I don't know what you're thinking there. And then what happens is you get that in the Chargers' head. We will throw the ball here, so you can't exactly play a heavy run defense. Because that's what happened. I mean, it was telegraphed that the Ravens were going to run the ball and run the ball and then run the ball and then run the ball and then run the ball some more. I mean, think. What you thinking there? What were you thinking? No, it's not one of those. You're not going to be able to complete too many run plays when a defense has like 9 or 10 defenders up in the box ready to play the run. I mean, it's hard to get any running room there. Duh. Get them out of run defense. Or at least get them to a more, let's say, neutral defense. Right? Duh. Ridiculous. Just bad play calling, in my opinion. Bad play calling, bad head coaching, bad decision. I mean, it's just wrong. For what? An extra minute run off the clock? Come on now. Chargers' high-powered offense, they're going to get some yards, man, and they're going to get some penalties. They're going to throw the ball a lot. You got to know this. You couldn't have thrown the ball one time to try to get some of that penalty yard back and get you in a better third down play or a better third down yardage, right? Something more convertible. You're 2nd and 14, you're still running the ball. Bad. It's bad. Whatever. I mean, we'll just keep putting up with this mediocrity. As far as, decision making and clock management. I don't think that's something that they've ever done well. Alright, so enough telling the offense how bad they did, even though they scored a whole bunch of points. Defense, defense got pushed around on that first drive. Look, it would have been a little different with Roquan Smith in there, I feel like. Hey, maybe they do get pushed around, but I don't know, man. That drive was quick. Chargers moved down the field real quick. They got a few short to medium-ish runs from Dobbins and Edwards. Yeah, that same Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. But it's a little different with Roquan in there, I feel like some of the... Let's take a look at this drive. Run no gain. Yeah, they did stuff him. And I feel like this run here on first down, 8-yard run ended up being 2nd and 2. If Roquan's in there, is that an 8-yard run? Or is it a 7-yard or a 6-yard run? 1 yard a run? Maybe. 2 yards? Maybe. I feel like, look, I mean, Chris Board and Malik Harrison, they did fairly well filling in for Roquan Smith, but they aren't Roquan Smith. I mean, there's a reason Roquan Smith is the starter and not Malik Harrison or Chris Board, So, again, all things considered, not having Roquan Smith in there, I feel like the defense played really good. And I do feel like they got a decent amount of pressure. I didn't see that many blitzes, which I don't really like. I mean, especially on that last drive, you're sending 4 the whole time. I get it. You want 7 guys back there in coverage. Why? Why? I don't understand why you can't send 5 on a rush and have 6 in coverage just so Herbert isn't standing there, you know, having a boatloads of time. I mean, he got hit. I mean, Ravens dropped Herbert. I mean, you can see, yeah, there was a forced fumble here on one of Van Noy's hits. Brandon Stevens got in there for a sec. You know, corner blitzes and such. Sometimes you got to do that. Josh Tupou, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, kind of filling in for Michael Pierce that got put on IR. Hopefully we'll see him again this year. He's holding up very nicely, right? He's kind of a veteran guy that wasn't really fitting in with a team this year, but it does happen throughout the season. Guys go down, other guys get an opportunity. Mr. Tupou is filling in very nicely here, of course. It's kind of the place where interior defensive linemen thrive. Van Noy with a sack over here, Owe with another sack. Alright, Owe, alright. Maybe me calling you terrible a few weeks ago kind of lit a fire under your butt. Good. Keep getting that pressure. Again, we're doing fairly well with minimal blitzing and not sending 6, 7 guys, which I perfectly understand that. I just, I would have liked more consistently send 5 and then 4. Got to get the quarterback off his spot somehow. Again, yes, that can make coverage a little harder, but you can't just let him stand there. And Mr. White, speaking of coverage, Tre'Davious. It is Tre'Davious. Tre'Davious White, more featured now. Yeah. I mean, who's the other 2 dickheads? Brandon Stevens and Nate Wiggins. They're still involved too in outside coverage, but Tre'Davious White is in that rotation. We also saw Jalen Armour-Davis take a few snaps. But Tre'Davious White is, as that, let's say, third option as an outside corner, I think he's fitting in very nicely. Is he necessarily better than Stevens or better than Wiggins? Well, to a certain extent, Wiggins is very young. He's very raw in his talent. Stevens, I feel like, never gets his head around. Or he gets his head around 5% of the time, right? So maybe Tre'Davious White is kind of in between Stevens and Wiggins as far as the outcome of a pass play. But having that other option on the outside is good. You can keep Humphrey on the inside. You do, and especially in this day and age, facing a heavy pass team, you do need a good slot corner type dude. I do think the addition of Tre'Davious White so far seems to be working out very well. Yeah, it's not as flashy as, let's say, trading for Marcus Peters a few years ago, but I feel like it's working out fairly nice. I do. I really do. That's what I have written down here. Seems to be fitting in just right and improving pass coverage of the defense. What happened at the end of the half? Excuse me. Here, this drive here with 24 seconds left on the clock. Chargers able to kick a field goal. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pass plays. 4 pass plays, and they were in field goal range. Yes, I would have loved the defense to be able to hold up. Would have been very nice. But again, at the same time, it is 2024 in the National Football League. 4 pass plays, and you were in field goal range. One of them was incomplete. So essentially, 3 completed passes in your field goal range. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. One was a run, actually. Herbert scrambled for 8 yards. Which, I mean, it's kind of like a pass play. Right? I mean, part of that problem is they start on the 30-yard line now. Which is something I said, 20 yards to midfield. Yeah, that's like 2 pass plays, man. That's, about 10 yards of pass play. How much you really think pass plays go for? About 10 yards. Yeah. Right? And then one more for a third one. And you're on your opponent's 40-yard line. It's a 57-yard field goal. That's, for the average kicker in the National Football League now, yeah. Very reasonable that they should be making that. Very reasonable. This one ended up being 52, so, of course, the Ravens defense gave up an extra 5 yards. Yeah, all right, bad pass defense. But you know what? They faced 4 straight pass plays. Got one to be an 8-yard run instead of a 10-yard pass, and another one to be incomplete. But, I mean, to me that sounds like 2024 in the National Football League. That's what the NFL wants. I mean, yeah, it looks like the Baltimore Ravens suck at pass defense. Or does it look like, they're facing a heavy pass team in a heavy pass league. In a league that changes all their rules for these heavy passes. Gives the offense an extra 5 yards now on these kickoffs. Lame. Of course, to a certain extent, okay, don't kick the ball through the end zone. And maybe you won't give it to him on a 30-yard line. But you don't know what's going to happen. Somebody could hold somebody. Somebody could be blocking a guy. And all of a sudden, they go out of bounds. And it's a penalty on the kick coverage guy for blocking a guy out of bounds. And which happened in the game. And how is that? I'm not sure how that's a penalty. I mean, you engage with the guy because you're trying to block him. Well, if he just kind of moves out of bounds, then it's a penalty on you. I was like, he went out of bounds. He could have not. I'm trying to block him. He just kind of went towards the sideline. That, you know what? It sounds like you could almost make the kick team commit a personal, it wasn't a personal foul, but commit a penalty. Actually, yeah, it was. It was a personal foul because you're pushing a guy out of bounds. You almost could do that intentionally. You lock up with the dude, kind of drag him a little bit, you're holding on to him, and you kind of just run towards the sideline. That's why I don't think it should be a penalty. I mean, how much of that is the defender and how much of that is the guy on kick coverage? Yeah. But whatever. Alright, you're talking about Harrison and Board. Yeah, it's the last part. I do feel like, for the most part, I mean, look at Malik Harrison here. 7 tackles as more of a solo tackle, and then 6 assists, 1 tackle for a loss. Look, it's no flashy numbers. I mean, Board over here, 2 and 2. Not flashy numbers, but considering there's a reason why they're lower on the depth chart, I feel like they filled in very nicely. Now, it did kind of help that the Ravens offense got going and it kind of put the Chargers in more of a pass defense than let's say a run defense. So not exposed so much there. You're exposed more in pass, but how much do you really expect these guys to be covering a wide receiver? You don't expect them to cover wide receivers. They're linebackers. They don't cover wide receivers. That's stupid. Don't make your linebackers cover wide receivers. But, however, hopefully we won't have to talk that much more about this. Hamstring injury for Roquan. He tried to give it a go before the game. So I feel like he's not too far away, right? Like, if it was a really bad hamstring injury, they're like, that's it, he can't play. But the fact that he was able to try to work it out and test it out before the game leads me to think, oh, maybe it's not too serious and this is a one-game thing, hopefully. But enough about that. It was a nicely played game. Yeah, I would have liked to seen less points given up, but honestly, that last touchdown, it's really a garbage time touchdown, really. I mean, it really was. So let's get to the scheduling. Wrap this up. Get out of here. Yeah. Eagles coming into town. Saquon Barkley. Remember I said I was going to tell you? You didn't know? You didn't? Yeah, you should have known. I kind of alluded to that a little, or I was trying to anyway. Yeah, so final Monday Night Football, Ravens 30, Chargers 23. Somewhat short of a week, right? Because it played on Monday instead of Sunday, so you got 6 days to prepare for the Eagles instead of, 7. Right? Let me just double check here. Yes, the first is Sunday, though it is an afternoon game. It is a 4:25 game instead of a 1 o'clock game. So note that this Sunday, 4:25, it's an Eagles game. Eagles coming into M&T Bank. So that's going to do it for this edition of Ryno's Ravens review with this game Sunday. Please stay tuned for Ryno's Ravens preview this Saturday, and I'll preview the game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I am the Angry Ryno. Fly Ravens, fly.